Hey everyone, welcome to officially episode 24, the beginning of the end. Today's episode is a little special. We have two special guests with us, Hernan from Argentina, was it?
Yeah, Argentina. Yes.
And Steve from Florida.
Correct.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so we'll start things easy. We'll ease you into the Jira life. If Ronnie doesn't kill us with him bumping into his microphone, why don't we start off with just some quick introductions? So, Steve, why don't you maybe tell us a little bit about who you are, what you are, why you are?
I love it.
We'll go from there.
Sure. Steve Duran. I work here at Carrier Global. I oversee Carrier's investments in our digital organization for everything for global commerce, MarTech, and SaaS. I also participate and help run Carrier's SaaS Council in partnership with Amazon Web Services, so AWS. We work very closely with the Atlassian family of products. And I've worked with them, for many, many years in my agency life before I got to Carrier. So happy to be here. Excited to get into all things agile, Atlassian, and the like, and maybe have some hot takes. We'll see.
Yeah, no. Well, thank you for accepting the invitation, and I'm sure we're gonna have a great hour here. Hernan, what about you?
Well, I'm the company owner of an Atlassian partner company as well, and I have been playing with Atlassian tools for a bit more than 10 years, I believe. uh, I would say that I'm kind of a server guy.
Okay.
Nevertheless, the cloud has done much better lately, but that's for later. So, as the company owner of a small company, I wear a lot of hats. Like I have to do finance, commercial, technical lead, and whatever. So it's a lot of fun, and I use a lot of Atlassian tools for my everydays in order to support my company and
Nice.
make things work.
Yeah. And so to let everybody else know here, hey Matt, hey Damien, hey Bob, who's if Bob wasn't here, I'd be very worried. And Hernan will be a server guy until February because yes, big changes are coming up in February. But anyways, for everybody else, Hernan and he actually runs a podcast called Las Herramientas de Atlassian, ¿no?
Orquestando herramientas
Orquestando las herramientas de Atlassian. Yeah. It's all in Spanish, and he has brought me on twice to just watch me suffer in Spanish.
Yeah. So just returning the favor, let's say.
No, there's no returning because your English is really good. So it's not fair.
Damn.
It's not fair. So thank you for coming on. I'm really excited that we got to do this. Hopefully it's not too late in Argentina. I don't know how many hours ahead. It's like a couple of hours, no? Maybe.
It's 7 p.m. here.
7 p.m. Okay. Yeah, that's not too bad. All right. So again, thank you very much. So we are going to be talking about just generic Atlassian stuff. I'm hoping to kick things off with something just easy. Something that was in the news recently. We try to kind of look at what Atlassian is releasing over the week and give our take, and then let the peanut gallery here join in on the fun too. And yes, I do use Google Translate because I can speak Spanish and I can read Spanish, but I can't type it. And so I have a really, really hard time typing it up. And I don't do any of the accents and stuff. So the Google Translate for the win here. All right.
I was about to say, I think you misspelled Rodney because I can't even do any of those things.
Oh, Rodney. Okay, so the biggest news that Atlassian has for us this week, and this week was actually very, very dry from Atlassian. Usually I'm being bombarded with emails all day long. And so let's talk about certifications. Atlassian just released another new certification. We had talked about this a couple of weeks ago, where Atlassian has opened up a new classification of certifications, if you will. They're less technical and they're more for the common folk. And this one particularly is for boards and board configuration. And so just your thoughts on where do you all stand in the grand scheme of certifications? Like, are you for them? Are you against them? Are you indifferent? And whoever just wants to talk, you can go ahead and talk.
Okay. Well, on my end, I'm gonna start. I believe they're useful, but I believe there should be some kind of a limit of retries. Actually,
Retries
yeah,
for taking the test.
yeah, at least per year, right? Like I've seen people fail six, 5 times, 5, 6 times per year uh, because of companies need the certifications.
Hmm.
You can go and retry and retry. Eventually, you will get it right. I don't think that's a real certification, a valid one, right? So I always thought that there should be some kind of criteria for that. If you ask
I
me.
didn't thought about that, but that's a really good point, because that's the only reason I haven't taken any of the exams, because I'm like fear, like I am just so scared that I'm gonna fail.
So
But I didn't know there
retry,
was a limit.
yeah, you can do them now while you can still retry them.
Bob here says that he retries until he maxes out his credit card. So there's always that.
That's a limit. That's a limit.
Now,
What about you, Steven? How are you
I'm-
feeling about these?
I'm pro. I'm pro all things professional development, like just as a principle. So certs, different things where I can certify different folks on my team. I'm always interested in that. And as as someone that purchases enterprise software, if we're buying a platform and it offers us the ability to like ensure that our folks are up to date on like how the platform is meant to be used, and we're getting the full breadth of the investment of the platform, it's like a win-win-win. And I subscribe to that old, Richard Branson adage that says like you want to train your people, so they can, leave you any day, but you want to treat them in such a way that they never would want to. And
Mhm.
so for me, if I can offer a certification through Atlassian and help somebody in their professional development journey, while also providing more value to me, the employer, then it's win-win. So I'm very bullish on these
So
certs.
that's an interesting perspective that you gave me too, because I had I purchased software in the past before at an enterprise level, and not ones that I considered that like, hey, I would want to buy software that has like a support system behind it. But it makes perfect sense. I'm like, I would want to buy a piece of software that comes with a support system behind it, so that
Yeah.
my team can really know how to use it and really leverage it and take advantage of it.
I think there's always this challenge when we buy and again, and it's different, I would say, from like SMB small businesses versus like enterprise, because if you're gonna, invest $400,000-500,000 a year in a solution, your return is going to be on like usage, and then like whatever the KPI is that platform is driving for you. So having certifications like ensures that I have the right power users like using the application, and I can ensure that this isn't just shelfware, but
Right.
we're actually using it. I would say, and this is something I don't think I've seen with Atlassian, but I'm a big fan of gamification when it comes to certs. So actually making it fun and actually like incentivizing people that, there's leaderboards, there's maybe little prizes, there's some bragging rights, those sort of things. So anytime you can build that into like, it's really just like customer adoption or user adoption. Like I'm too enthusiastic, thumbs up on that.
So Rodney, you got every cert under the book. Is there a game?
I do not have every cert under the book. I just have almost them all.
But what are your
These new
thoughts
ones
on
I think are interesting though. The thing with the ACPs, the existing level, the Atlassian Certified Professional exams
pro
is
level ones now?
yeah, they're pro level. I would not even attempt them if you're just starting in the Atlassian space. You really need to be on the job for a few years, which is great if you have been an Atlassian admin for a few years. But if you're trying to break into this field, they're useless because you're not going to pass them without that experience. So I think having this lower level, this associate level, for people who may not be professional admins yet, but are trying to break in, and it gives them something to say, hey, at least I know the platform. That is an amazing concept, and it's been way too long at Atlassian, really it has.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about these associate level ones though, right? Because like I feel like what's the value of an easy test? Because I'm looking at it from ACPs are hard tests, and I'm expecting ACE or the associate level ones to be easy tests. And like, what value are you getting if if kind of going back to what Hernan said, right? Like, if you get unlimited tries, like, did you really know it, or do you just memorize the questions and answers at that point?
I mean, isn't that what you did for the actual ACPs?
I don't know. I haven't
I
taken
asked
one.
Alex like he hasn't, like he's
I have
taken.
zero certification.
I didn't think. Maybe it's meant to be. I've always imagined it being like functional versus technical. So I often think about like when we build our teams, we often think like some of these folks are meant to be highly technical, right? And then you got other folks that are like functional users. So like in commerce, for instance, that my vertical, I'm going to have technical folks that are responsible for actually building code for the commerce solutions, and I have functional people who are actually responsible for using the tools that we build to drive business results. So if Atlassian's kind of maybe structuring it the same way, where you have folks that are going to be a bit more functional in like their usage of something maybe a bit more lightweight, like a Trello or like high level stuff in Jira, versus like somebody that's going to be building some pretty sophisticated workflows in Jira. I could see maybe that like delineation.
Regarding to that, actually, I wanted to say, for example, because it has been an issue, I mean, that has come up across many of our team members as well. This that you mentioned, for example, there are some admin certifications in which you are meant to know how to read an agile report. And honestly, as an administrator, I have never read an agile report as such. That's for more for a user level. And I think that these new types of certifications would give us potentially would give the possibility to split those type of questions, if you ask me. I don't know what's your take on those specific, because I never understood why did you ask. Why did Atlassian ask me that?
What about with respect to hiring? Like, does it influence you guys one way or another when it comes to building out your teams?
Yes, for recruiting purposes, yeah, for sure. It depends what kind of role we're looking at, right? So if we're hiring somebody that is going to be responsible for managing, let's say, 5 to 10 like developer type resources, and we ask like, how are you doing management of folks, and what tools are you doing that? How are you doing reporting out to stakeholders, that sort of thing? And they're unable to articulate how they're using their project management software. Or if they come right out the bat and say, yeah, like I've mastered Jira and I use it to my strategic advantage, that absolutely plays a factor in recruiting for us.
Hernan, what about you? Hiring your team, building your team out?
Oh, my criteria is very low. No, it's good, but lately I have been hiring juniors, let's say, more juniors, and certainly you can expect a certification. That I believe that what's critical for managing the Atlassian suite, you need to be able to figure out solutions, because there are so many ways to use it, so many options. Even if you Google for the solutions, you won't necessarily find exactly what you need. So you like being a problem solver is critical for me, more than the certifications at this point. Certainly, if you're looking for more senior members, it will be far more interested on that part.
Nice.
I've got a bit of hot take on this.
Bring it.
I think having the certs is a bonus, but I'm not going to discount someone just because they don't have any Atlassian certifications, because I have known plenty of extremely competent, able admins.
You got one right in front of you.
I mean, yeah, Alex, obviously, but I've known others who know their stuff well, could go get the cert if they chose to, but just for whatever reason haven't yet. And let's not pretend that there's not a cost here. Some people really just can't afford to spend the extra $300
Right.
to go get a cert. That could be their kids' meals for the month or something like that. And I'm not going to discount someone if they have skills, but
I feel like Atlassian needs something like this, though.
the thing with my interviews, though, is I always put someone on a Jira instance and see how they interact with the tool, because that will tell me far more about whether they know how to Jira than any piece of paper ever will.
100%. And when we say it influences recruiting, it'll help a candidate stand out, but we're not recruiting with a hard requirement that says you have to have Jira certs. It's the same way, like if you ever had the experience of recruiting like a Salesforce technical resource, right? They have the very famous Trailhead certification program, right? Like if someone has a bunch of Trailhead certs, cool. Like that's fine. But like obviously you're going to go through a tech review, and that's going to tell us everything we need to know. Like it's cool, it's interesting, it helps you stand out. It shows me that you took the time, you made the investment in yourself, but it doesn't guarantee you a job at all. And honestly, hot take, as long as we're giving hot takes, I feel the same way about undergrad degrees. I feel the same way about bachelor degrees, especially in the tech world.
Yeah.
This is a little off the beaten path, but I will say some of the best resources that I have hired, one of them within the last year, do not have bachelor degrees. And they are high-performing individuals that have cut their teeth on doing real work, valuable work with real business stakes. And the value of the undergrad degree is not as valuable as in the tech space. In our space.
I was just talking to one of my professors from my undergrad. Her husband used to be the CTO of Kaiser, one of the largest medical providers here, at least in SoCal. And I mean, CTO is really, really high up there in the technical track, probably the highest you can get as a technical professional. No bachelor's and no master's or anything. And I was like, I would have never guessed, because you would have never felt that he wasn't, qualified.
Right.
But
Rodney,
definitely
this is
losing a lot of value.
It's like the inverse, I think, of like what the point that you brought up, which was certs can oftentimes be seen as like a financial constraint or like a financial burden. I think the opposite could be said too, which is certs could be the replacement for an entire 4-year bachelor degree.
And Google's done this, right? Google has like free certs that they offer.
This is exactly right. And I think that whole space, especially with those of us that are building products or building tech, I think that the education degree is ripe for disruption. That I'd ask the 3 of us, or the 4 of us on this call, right? Would you rather hire somebody from a very large state school that has a computer science degree, or would you rather hire somebody that has spent 4 years in a Google development program developing software? Like, I think most of us would lend towards Google.
Considering that I've gotten one of those fancy degrees and I've used 0% of it.
No. Yeah, so I think that the industry, I think, is changing a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, my own schooling, my first attempt at college, I absolutely failed at computer engineering. And it wasn't the right path for me. When I switched over to information systems, a business degree, I got Dean's List every semester. I went from failing out of college to Dean's List in literally just changing my major. And a lot of people never find that fit until they're well past college. And I don't think not having that degree or even failing, that just means you found something you're not good at.
Exactly that happened to me. My last job at Brain Corp, I got a failed to meet expectations from my boss. But I challenge you to challenge me on my Jira skills right now.
You haven't taken one of my tests.
I know, right? That's what we should do. We should write a test for each other and see who's better.
My
Was that
test is
Hannah? You had something
practical.
there?
I'm going to put you on a Jira instance.
I know. Good thing I know the Jira instance pretty well.
Yeah. Well,
And to make it
regarding
hard, I'll make
the
a data center.
Sorry, Ronnie being rude. Let him speak.
No worries. Okay. I was going to add about these degrees and stuff. This about these very low standards that I mentioned in our team. Some of our team members, they're not even in the IT world. Let's say I mean, we have one of them was a physiotherapist. Say a cab driver. That's their background, but they were good at problem solving. Even I have my brother joined as well. He studied music to personal trainer, and he's doing great with the customers and has very great feedback. And certainly doesn't have it, not even close of all the background it makes sense.
Yeah. But no, I agree with that, but because I'm a big believer on like if where there's a will, there's a way. But I've seen it work the other way. When I worked in St. Louis, the talent pool was very, very low in St. Louis. And so the company I worked at there, they were just hiring people if you spoke English, can turn on a computer, and lived in St. Louis. And that when you lower that bar that low, like we had some questionable folks join us that were clearly not meant to be doing IT work. So I think you should at least have a passion for it. Like you want it. Because otherwise IT
Yep.
stuff in general is just hard, right? So are we done with this topic? Should we move on to the next one? As I do my very badly. At least I haven't said anything dumb in this episode, I think. Hopefully. It won't be a great episode.
We still got 40 minutes.
And I still got 40 minutes. We got a long way to go before I mess something up. All right. So why don't we talk about why Atlassian? Like from Hernan's perspective, Steve Sparks' perspective, like why do you guys like this tool? What about Atlassian makes you excited or interested in it? And Hernan, you can definitely say why you have a podcast on it because you love it so much.
As well, yeah, as well. But I know. Well, if I have to say, I really like working with the tool. Basically, you can never get bored because it's never the same. And in previous jobs, I came from very big companies in which you are just a small cog in the tool, right? And you always do the same. Even doing the same type of project for the, I mean, same type of project and requirements, the implementation will never be the same. There's always something different, always new to learn. And that's what I really like about the tool. It's so big, there's so plenty of options that you never get bored. That's what I really like.
Nice. Steven?
I like the suite of tools that Atlassian offers. So, like I said, it's not just one. It's not just Jira. It's Jira. It's Trello. It's Confluence. I actually probably going to be one of the biggest proponents of Confluence that you'll probably find, which probably in the minority here, but I quite like that.
Or Andy. So we have another person in our call who joins us in the peanut gallery. His name's Andy Gladstone, and I think he's traveling or still at the conference. So we just took a picture. He just flew from New York to California. We went to the Pacific Oceanside Pier, but he's like the biggest Confluence nerd you'll ever meet. So I got to put you two in the same room together.
I love it. Yeah, I think so. For me, my ultimate deliverable is I have to build enterprise tools for enterprise orgs. So we're talking about lots of team members in a pod. We're talking about multiple disciplines. We're talking about it's corporate, so multiple departments that have to be involved. And so the ability to have a single location where the heartbeat of the work is being done, and we can pull in different groups, and we can have certain checkoffs, and we can move things through a project lifecycle. And to be able to tailor that to our organization's different quirks or our workflows is super valuable. There's Atlassian when you go pound for pound with the Asanas and the Mondays and the base camps. It's just got more of a breadth of offerings. I say that I love that Confluence because when my team builds solutions right now, we're pretty significantly partner heavy. We've got some phenomenal partners, delivery partners. We're talking like the EYs of the world, the Deloittes, the Tidal Commerces, the Absys, and I have a blend of carrier and non-carrier people always working together within the solution. And it provides a level of transparency and accountability in the case of Jira. And then it becomes even more like documentation and visibility when you pair it with Confluence and when we use it as my strategy, which is more of a repository of key decision makings and key documents and different things like that. Because typically the projects that we're taking on are, a multi-year roadmap. And so it's not just like Atlassian's great because it solves not just one part of my need when it comes to building solutions, but truly like an end-to-end solution.
It's so interesting that the chat here loves Confluence so much, but my Confluence videos do the worst. I almost don't want to make
let me
Confluence
tell
videos.
you, it's
Real
not
one.
just you, Alex.
Real ones love Confluence. That's what we'll chalk it up to.
I just don't like I'm almost unencouraged to make Confluence related videos because I'm like, nobody likes this stuff.
Those are like they're like your fans. If you're like a solo like front man in a music group, those are your fans. They're gonna go out and buy it on
The
vinyl.
true ones.
Yeah, the real ones, right? Yeah, Confluence is the equivalent of music fans that listen to records on vinyl.
And
They're
as
purists.
Bob
They-
tells
they're
you,
Yeah,
also,
tasty.
when I've done Confluence posts, they have done like orders of magnitude worse than any Jira post I've made. It just I think part of it is Confluence is an easier tool to wrap your head around.
much easier.
Jira, you've got the workflows, the issue types, all these different objects interacting with each other. Confluence, you have a page where you can put text.
Yeah, I did like
I could explain that to a 5-year-old.
Yeah, I did like 15 videos, and at one point I was like, I think I finished. I think I got it all. I need to make more. Oh man, Confluence. But also for both Hernan and Steven, I don't know if you guys know who is in the chat here, but William Kennedy and Matt Dorr, these are what we call our OG Jira admins. They were there from day one.
Nice.
They were there when Atlassian wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
And so Matt actually is the author of a couple books here, and as I don't know if you saw a comment earlier, but contributor of just huge historical wealth of knowledge of the Atlassian ecosystem between William and Matt here. So we're really lucky to have them and that they're a part of our fan club here.
That's awesome.
Just want to let you know where the level that you're now playing in, right? Because you're joining the big leagues here.
They must be
just got a
confident.
little bit more pressure.
That's right.
And apparently we didn't write a Confluence book. All right, so I wanted to go over to a little hot take, something that popped up over the week here that Atlassian did do that I found mildly annoying, and I just wanted to get your guys' 2 cents on this, specifically because I just saw Salesforce do the same thing, and I'm like, I wonder if this is a trend. So here's what I saw. In Jira today, if you go to Jira Service Management, you get a nice little pop-up video of a girl doing some talk. Did anybody see that?
Yeah, I got one. Mm-hmm.
I didn't get that one.
If you guys go to JS, it won't do it if you're in Jira. You got to go like into a service management project.
Yeah, I'm most likely. I think I got one in not in my common instance, but I was going to a demo or one of the millions that I had, and it just popped up and say,
yeah.
Okay.
So, but what do you guys think about that? What do you think about Atlassian pushing their brand onto the product, right? Or putting promotional material? And another hot take that I want to talk about since we finished this one is that of their funnel to convince people to upgrade to the next tier, which they are now subtly doing. But what are you guys' thoughts about that? Like, should companies be hands-on, hands-off? They're obviously a Fortune 500 company business that they're trying to, grow. Like, does it dilute from the experience? Does it make you not like him as much as me? Just kidding.
Hernan, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I don't like the idea. I believe that some time ago it was doing something similar, but it wasn't the ugly pop-up. There were some notifications that started
They
coming
do
up.
the notification for like team, right? They're like registering
Something
now for
like
team,
that.
but it's a little bit more
Yeah.
subtle. Yeah, this one was like a bam in your face, full on video.
Yeah, like those would be acceptable. This pop-up, that's too much, especially if I already have the product. Let's say. I don't know. I just closed it and moved along.
Move
Right?
on with your life. Ronnie, anything from your end?
I've said for a while that Atlassian is running out of carrots to tempt people over to cloud, to upgrade their tier, all this. At some point, they're going to start using some sticks, and I think this is just another sign of that, where they're going to start pushing people in the way they want people to go, whether that makes organic sense or not.
Yeah, one thing that really kind of caught me by surprise today was I could look at any Jira in the world and know if you were standard, premium. Easy, but just by looking at it. They killed that functionality for me this week. They now, so in the banner of Jira, if you were a premium subscriber or enterprise, it would say plans next to the create button, next to the apps button. And if you were standard or free, that word plans was omitted. But now what they did is they stuck it in everybody's Jira. And when you click on it, because you're like, ooh, this wasn't there before, it says upgrade to premium if you want to use this feature. And that's it. What do you like? I was like, man, really?
I don't like experiences that interrupt my usage of the application. If you want to get in front of me and you want to do an upgrade and things like that, I don't necessarily have a problem with it, as long as it's not obtrusive or like gotcha. Like as long as it's reasonable, or like honestly, like if it's a new button and I click on it, like that's on me. no problem, right? But going to a certain page and getting an overlay messaging with an autoplay, oh boy, it's like going to those like old Flash websites, you remember? And they just start.
Yeah, I remember that.
Crazy.
Buy
That's
now,
what it feels
buy now.
like. Yeah, right. That's what it feels like. So yeah, and I don't know, man. I'm a big proponent of like free trials. So like if you want to turn a feature on and get me hooked on it and then sell me that way, I think that's completely acceptable. Or free every so often. Like even if I haven't subscribed, just like give me a month free every year and like keep, giving me the first one's free, right? And so, always hit me up and then hopefully I turn over and become a paying customer. I think totally reasonable. That's where I stand.
It's been such an interesting change because I've been using Jira for a long time, as many of us here, right? But this is like the first, ever since like Team in April, I saw it more aggressively. They're using the platform to push information out, and I just thought it was weird because like I've never seen it prior to April of 2023 for all the years I've been using Jira. So I just thought it was like, well, where's this coming from?
I remember once upon a time, Atlassian used to famously say, we don't have a sales department because we don't need a sales department. And that's because the software just grew organically. Someone used it at their previous job, they go to a new job, they go to their team, hey, I've used this before, it worked well, maybe we could use it. They adopt it, other team C, they adopt it. Before you know it, the entire company's on board. They don't do that anymore. And Atlassian very much now, they don't call themselves sales managers or salespeople, but what they do very much is sales.
Not any thoughts there?
Well, I recall hearing what Ronnie said that about the sales department. Yeah, and eventually, I mean, if they end pushing too much, I I won't then die like in the
We don't have
movie.
anywhere else to go though.
I mean,
That's the well. I mean, but people
Maybe
go
they know
anywhere. People go anywhere.
well, here's the
There's-
thing.
there's no
My previous
territory.
company, we had one rule with Atlassian. Look, if you want to talk to upper management, we can arrange that. We're happy to warm them up for you. Get that. Go through us. Do not bypass us and try and approach upper management directly. And this was at upper management's behest. This is how they wanted to do things. So every time, and it happened repeatedly with Atlassian, where they would just bypass us and go talk to some C-level executive directly. At which point we get a nastygram saying, "Why can't you control these or this vendor?" And it's like, we're doing the best we can. They don't listen anymore.
Mhm.
Nice. All right. So I was thinking maybe the second half of this episode here, Steve. So you're probably the only one that's not part of this exclusive club, but Rodney, Hernan, and myself are now official recognized Atlassian content creators. And Atlassian,
Congratulations.
thank you. Atlassian has like an official content creator program where they, support us, and finally, after a lot of begging, gave us an instance with all of the products, like, and every feature enabled.
That's awesome.
So now I can make videos and not break the bank.
Nice.
But I know, Steve, you got a passion here for marketing and content creation. So I was hoping maybe we can spend the second half here just talking about strategies, how to content, what's a good idea, what's not a good idea, things that have worked in the past, things that you would like to see, experimentation, and see how the three of us here can maybe learn some stuff from each other, or the four of us here should learn some stuff from each other about content creation, marketing, and building our brands and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. Most people, I believe most people are in on Atlassian products for tech related projects or something similar. You mentioned marketing. I think that the content side, again, differentiating between functional and technical, but like the very functional, like marketing side. So these are content creators, these are marketers, these are designers, videographers, those sort of things. Pieces of content before they get published have to be touched by multiple team members or multiple departments. And I think Atlassian products, again, allow the same sort of life cycle management of a piece of content, just like we would have from like a piece of software that we would have to build before it actually gets pushed into production. Same concepts apply for marketing content. I will say that Jira is a little intense for functional teams. It's a little intimidating also. And the appetite for using a project management software for teams that are especially like just getting started or just beginning to emerge would probably lend itself more towards the Trello type application, something a bit more lightweight, something a bit more visual, something with the Kanban capabilities built in, where if you have a piece of content, let's take an email campaign. Email campaign's got to work with marketers, got to work with copywriters, got to work with designers, maybe a sales manager, and then maybe a proofreader. That could be 5 different verticals that have to touch a single piece of content before it goes out. Trello is something that's very lightweight, and you can visually represent where something is in what stage it's in. Or if you have within those stages, you have multiple touch points, you can use different things that are within the card itself as checkoffs, or as, you can put in information there that needs to be reviewed. So yeah, I think
I'm just glad you're using Trello and not Monday or Asana or something like that. So kudos for that.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I'm in on the Atlassian family. I love it, and I think that the team
Jira work management, I think Bob here is hitting a good point. For those of you wanting to stay within the Jira world, right? Atlassian is iterating rigorously on Jira work management to try to get it to be more like Trello. Although don't tell Brittany, because Brittany will come at me in ways that I can't even defend myself. Steve, in case you don't know, there's an official representative of Trello in the Atlassian community. Her name is Brittany Joyner, and she's our close friend. But you're not allowed to talk trash on Trello because she will do a number on you.
I have nothing but good things to say about Trello. So we're
I don't like Trello. So
Yeah, I have that problem, like you, Alex. Like customers come and tell me, we would like to use Trello, and I can't recommend it. Like, go to work management directly. Like, I don't know. I believe I'm plenty of years behind on the Trello functionalities, because when I used it, it was very basic. And now I say, well, I'm pretty sure I can have the same or more with work management, or at least that's my criteria. And I say, no, don't go there. Just keep
What?
everything in Jira, because eventually everything is gonna end in Jira as things grow. So skip Trello, go.
no, just skip it. Yeah, I remember. I know I've said this story many times, but I walked up to one of like the product managers of Jira Work Management at Team 23, and I just point blank just told him, like, why do you exist when there's Trello? Like, Jira Work Management doesn't make sense. But I'm like, I don't know. I just don't. I want to like Jira Work Management, and I'm investing a lot of time into it. But at the end of the day, I'm still using Jira software, even though I'm not
That's
writing
another discussion, right? From Trello to, but yeah, I can't recommend work management either, because I'm so used to software. Then let's go to software. But and that's how everyone ends in software when they come to me. But
I'm pretty sure they will ban me from the booth next year. I'm telling you, I'm just trying to figure out the limits of what's going to get me banned.
I'll just give Alex an even bigger fake mustache, and so he can sneak up to the
Real.
JWM booth.
No, we're all going to be walking around with our sombreros.
I love it.
We have so the official logo of the folks here in the chat is the Jira Amigos, but we have the Atlassian logo with the sombrero on top. And that's so Robert's going to come visit me in San Diego in a little over a month, and we're going to go down to Old Town and get ourselves some official branded Jira Life sombreros, so we can sport them at Team 24 next year in Vegas.
Amazing.
Tell you, man, we are building. Oh yeah, and some fake mustaches too, apparently.
It's
Guys,
required.
I know. I don't even know what I would look like without the mustache. My wife does. My wife saw me once, and I've been married for 13 years. She saw me once, and that was the last time. And she hates it so much. so much.
So after Christmas, typically I'll actually shave completely and just let my skin heal up, degrease, and regrow the beard and stuff from scratch. This is important because our last show of the year is December 28th. So if you want to see what I look like without a beard, you need to tune in December 28th.
Spoilers.
That's amazing. I'm normally clean shaven, but it's been a tough week, so
yeah.
Part of the beard gang.
We're gonna turn this into the grooming with that last year. How do we get a Jira board to keep track of our grooming schedules? Or a Trello board for that matter.
Yeah, Trello's more for grooming.
We'll put the stages of the beards in a Confluence board, and then we'll talk about the different stages there.
Yeah. We may or may not be writing a book right now, Mr. Rodney and I and a couple of other people in the chat, and we're using Trello, and I'm like, I can't even remember the damn URL to get in there, because my instincts are just ready to go to Jira. Like, I just have Jira locked into my browsers. Oh, Trello. Don't tell Brittany. Brittany's gonna I can already see Brittany sending me some hate mail.
Brittany sounds amazing. I'm sure
Brittany is amazing. She is
sure Trello has a wonderful product roadmap coming.
Brittany's job is to defend Trello 24/7 though, because
also rap about it.
And rap about it. Yeah, we still need to make the Jira Life rap. Maybe we should do that for our the December 20th episode. But with respect to then, I guess maybe content or marketing or just in general content creation. Hernan, any thoughts? What are you working on for next year? Like, what's your game plan for dominating the marketplace in the Spanish podcasting world?
Well, it's not that difficult anyway. There are plenty. There's not plenty of competition, let's say.
They're like one.
Yeah. At most, I'm third. Like, because there's, I believe Deezer has their podcast in Spanish. I believe they're still active there. And regarding podcast, I believe it's awesome then on that end. And there are a couple of tutorials, other companies that I've seen some tutorials in Spanish, but there's no plenty. Ideally, I would like to start adding more of those, all in Spanish, until you decide to do them.
I am
Alex.
going to do them. I am going to. I have like 550 videos I have to convert into Spanish, but like I don't know that I'm ready for the internet to hear me stumble through Spanish.
Alex, just take
What?
comfort in knowing it will be better than my Spanish.
Yes, except Spanish is in my blood. And so I'm not doing myself a service here to not know it as well.
I'm worse, man. My dad is Guatemalan, came here when he was like 12, and I speak zero Spanish. Zero.
Yeah, no.
In my blood, and you know more than I do.
Well, Hernan gets me together last week with Castellanos, which is like the Spanish, right? It's like the OG one. And I'm like, I don't know that I've ever paid more attention to the words coming out of people's mouths, because I'm like, this is so fast. So fast.
Oh, so it wasn't interesting, that subject. You just were trying to understand what was going on then.
You know what, Bob? I think I might consider dubbing them, and maybe it'll look like an old school martial arts movie.
Get this sombrero would be great.
Well,
the art of the Jira.
The art. Well, the problem is it doesn't, like, my dad jokes don't translate to Spanish, right? And so my Jira tutorials, you know, that I'm doing references and, you know, like just all this literary stuff from English that just doesn't translate into Spanish. Because like the very first video, my mom was helping me translate because, you know, she speaks Spanish, and she actually learned it properly. Because I've never taken a Spanish class in my life, and my mom's like, what does bread and butter have to do with Jira and Agile? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, you say bread and butter. It's Jira's bread and butter. Like Agile is Jira's bread and butter. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
it's a figure of speech. It doesn't translate to, because she translated to pan y manteca. Like, what does that have to do with anything? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
I made a big mistake one time. There's a business that I was working with, and they're out of Norway. And we were in the middle of pitching them on the value of adding a digital commerce experience. And I kept saying, if you build it, they will come. And this team like blank stares. And I said it again, like, if you build it, they will come. And they looked at me like, what are we building? And who's coming? Where are they going? Where are they from? And why are they coming here? And all of a sudden I was like, wait, you guys haven't seen the Kevin Costner classic Field of Dreams? It hasn't made its way to Norway? Well, let me educate you guys. 10-minute conversation on the Field of Dreams. But I learned that message.
Yeah, I've learned working with a global company and global teams, like half of our things that we assume in English are very US based. Like,
yeah,
they don't know.
Most of my references are I'm probably too American. I have toned down the Americanisms.
Dude,
responsibilities.
So I went to the Atlassian conference in April, right? And Chris Cook, who's a huge supporter of Rodney and I, he's like, hey, let me go introduce you to my old pals, the CEO and the company Adaptivist, where he used to work, right? And so I walk over there, and he's like, they're all European, right? They're all like UK based. And so they're like, hey, Alex, where do you live? And I'm like, me being clever and witty, I'm like, San Diego, like the Legos, Lego my ego. And they're like, where? I'm like, don't you guys have like Egos in the UK? They're like, what is that?
Egos. You like Lego my ego? They're like, I don't follow.
Do you know? And have you ever heard of like the
Lego?
Egos?
Yeah.
Well, not in the UK. They don't need our breakfast. So San Diego does not.
does not
resonate well with people. So
Mm.
not just the people who live in San Diego.
I think some of my favorites have to be when people don't know what to call something because English is their second language.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite joke about this is the Cobra chicken, where someone was an immigrant, they never seen Canadian goose before, but one was chasing them, and they're like, "I really don't like that Cobra chicken," and that's because I cannot think of a better name for a goose than that.
Chicken.
I've never even heard of that. We got Steve over here.
That's so good.
But think about it, Steve.
I know it's perfect. It's perfect. The great unifier, the thing that unifies all of my teams globally is food. That's always my fallback. Is I've got a bunch of folks that work out of India. Some are in Calcutta, some are in Bangalore, some are in Hyderabad, and even within India, right? There's a lot of difference between northern India and southern India, but the one common denominator is food. And so a lot of my team who live in India, when they go out to eat, they go to Mexican restaurants, which I found fascinating. But it was a moment of allowing us all to bond because who doesn't like Mexican food? Right?
Me.
You don't like Mexican food?
It's just food for me.
Oh man, you never heard that old adage like, I don't know what the meaning of life is, but I'll tell you what, I've never been unhappy inside a Mexican restaurant. Like that's how I feel.
It's just truth.
And you'll be very happy in my house. That's all we have is Mexican food.
It's just food for me.
It's just food.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I grew up on a military base, and the thing about military bases is you get a lot of diversity because soldiers will go abroad, they'll find someone, fall in love, marry, and then bring them back to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So the food situation, especially during block parties, was always amazing because you would have German next to the Puerto Rican, next to the Mexican, next to the Filipino, next to the Korean, and it was just these were authentic recipes that these people learned growing up, but it's just all right here in one place. I forgot Cajun because that was our family's contribution was the Cajun food.
Nice.
Well, if you guys ever want tongue tacos, my house is a place to be. Although I'm recently have been promoting myself over to their cheek, but they're called cabeza.
I'm in.
Oh, cabeza's good.
I'm totally in.
I like it because it doesn't leave you the same aftertaste as the lengua, but I love cow tongue. That's my favorite meat.
All right.
We'll have to get you out to the West Coast, Steve.
I'm in. Sign me up.
Sign you up. All right. Well, we got a couple minutes left. Any closing thoughts, comments? Sean has joined us graciously here with his presence, blessing us. Any closing thoughts? Otherwise, I'd like to wrap this one up because I got a 100-mile journey ahead of me that I want to go get in the car for. But yeah, let's give you guys a couple minutes here to. What do you think?
Closing thoughts. If you're not doing anything for project management, Atlassian is the best place to start. If you're just getting started, I would recommend checking out Trello. If you're ready to dive into the deep end, I would start in Jira from there. But we are largely successful at Carrier due to our ability to deliver on time and on budget. And we wouldn't be able to do that without the solutions that help us deliver those solutions being Atlassian suite of products.
It sounds like you guys have an amazing Atlassian administrator there.
I mean, he's hard to get in touch with, and he's got a little bit of attitude, but
A little bit.
he's I'd say he's all right.
He's all right.
He knows his stuff, but sometimes that attitude.
It's easy to get cocky, man. It's easy to get cocky. The fanfare gets to you sometimes. I'm thinking. Wait. So hold up. I'm noodling on this. We're developing this. Hernan, you're definitely gonna want to get that passport ready. I'm planning. I'm in the beginning phases of planning a West Coast Atlassian trip, and we're gonna be starting up in San Diego, working our way up and hitting all the ACE locations. So Matt Dorr, we're coming to you. We are coordinating with AJ right now in Mountain View, and we're coordinating with Vish in San Francisco. And I'm thinking instead of the barbecue that Ed Gale does over on the East Coast, we're just going to do Mexican food all up and down the California coast here. So thanks for that.
No In and
inspiration.
Out?
What?
No In and Out burger?
No, we're going to do Mexican food. We're going to bring the tacos to everyone. Didn't you hear, Steve, about how happy people are with tacos?
Happy people are with tacos. Also, there's few things better than a late night In and Out run. I agree with you, Rodney.
He's in Argentina, Sean. He's a little far. He's gonna need one. I won't need one. All right, Rodney. Sorry, I cut you off, but close it off.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening.
No, don't close that off like that yet. None didn't get a chance to talk, so let's give him a chance to talk. Then close it off.
Yeah.
That's well, I don't know. I might not have a lot of fructose, but I was thinking as about this marketing strategy and so on. I believe that potentially this Atlassian creator stuff should be a better way for Atlassian to sell. Use us as tools for selling rather than the pop-up, let's say. I think that's going to sell much better. Having more people.
I think it's a smart investment in investing in. That's my ugly face.
Well, it's better than the pop-up.
Anything's better than the pop-up. Yeah, I'm excited. We got some good stuff coming up with Atlassian. So especially now we have access to all the tools and all the plugins with all the features. So I'm very, very excited. All right, Mr. Barney, now close us out because I do want to get on this road trip before I hit thousands of hours of traffic.
All right. Well, again, thank you everyone for listening to the Jira Life. My friend here is Alex, Dr. Jira Ortiz. You can find him at youtube.com/@ApeTech Tutorials, all one word. Myself, I am Rodney Nissen. You can find me at thejiraguy.com. This week, I wrote an article introducing people to what is Jira. Our producer is Robert King Bob Wen. And joining us today, we had Steve Duran and Hernan Halabi. Thank you both so much for joining us today. We record this podcast every Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Join us in the rest of the Peanut Gallery as we figure out what's happening in the Atlassian world, talk about what's new, and just chat about what's going on. If you can't catch us live, you can catch this podcast on Apple iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you think this podcast does deserve a rating, please do. It absolutely does help us.
We need a faster version of this, Rodney.
Gotcha, man. And remember, we didn't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chose us.
Nice.